that leads us to Carroll, a coach, 42-3 win over Bishop Luers on Friday night. I mean, it was an impressive showing for the Chargers.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anybody better to kind of discuss that with us, and appreciate him coming on tonight. Coach Doug Dinan from Carroll High School is joining us now, and 13th season for you, Doug.
Yeah,
I can't.
absolutely. It flies by. This is my 30th year of coaching high school football. 17
Yeah,
years at Snyder, and now 13 years at Carroll. So it flies by.
yeah, it doesn't seem possible, but pretty big win for you against Bishop Luers on Friday night. I thought, of course, I think your defense is a pretty dominant foe. I think they proved that again on Friday night. What was your kind of takeaway with that
Well,
aspect again?
we started a little slow, both offensively and defensively. Whether that be first game jitters or the emotion of that game, first game. Emotions are going to be high, and everything that our kids have dealt with through June and July. So it was good to be on the field against another opponent. It was great to see everybody turning up to a higher level. After that slow first quarter start, but I think that there were a lot of bright spots. And as you point out, defensively was probably one of the brightest spots that we had all night long.
Yeah, I have I love this kid for you, plays for you, Dylan Bennett. I mean, if I was still coaching and recruiting, I would definitely try to get that kid on my team, because he made a play on a screen that I saw that was kind of unbelievable, where he was away from it, but he ran it down. And that's the one thing about this kid I noticed right from the get-go. His ability to play sideline to sideline is pretty special.
Yeah, he has tremendous athleticism. He catches the ball extremely well. We see it every day when we go, a short period of ones-on-ones, with our offense and our defense against each other. And I kid you not, I cringe every day when we do it, because, defensive guys are pinning their ears back, and I am blowing the quick whistle. It's like, snap me, blow the whistle. So it's, we've got to curtail everybody on that defensive side. But Dylan plays fast, and he's one guy out of 11, that continually fly to the ball. And second level linebackers, they're very long. They can play sideline to sideline extremely well. And it's right now it's all about playing together. Having great culture, having great energy, having great work ethic, and those things will propel us.
Well, that's going to help you no matter what. Because, I mean, I know you got Jimmy Sullivan now at quarterback. It seemed like he, kind of stepped in and nothing really phased him based upon statistics. But with a young quarterback like that, having a stout defense definitely gives you a lot of help in terms of bringing a young guy along, because he's not having to be dependent on to go out and make the play when you've got a
Right.
great supporting cast around him.
Yep. And I said that to him right before the game. I said, you don't have to win this game. You just got to get the ball out to playmakers and make good decisions and be sound. Had a couple of turnovers. I think that he forced a post, that wasn't there. The other turnover, interception, he was hit. But those things will change. Those things will improve. And you're exactly right. When you can rely on the defense to play sound, he doesn't have to push the ball. He doesn't have to, make great reads, make great decisions. You just got to distribute the ball and let everybody play.
Sure. Coach, you're now in your 13th season as Carroll's head coach. And you've kind of turned a corner. This program has turned a corner. 90 wins leading into this year, only like 66 in the 12 years before that. Where for you do you think it was where this Carroll program kind of turned that corner and took it to the next step during your tenure here at Carroll?
I remember back in 2010 when our staff took over, and we felt that we had to play at a more physical level, and we did some things on a daily basis to push us to be more physical, to teach the kids to tackle better, to teach the kids to have physicality on the offensive and defensive line. And I think it has just grown and built from there. And when we went from the NHC to the SAC in 2015, I think that was another jump, against great teams, great speed, great physicality. And we had to grow again, and we had to learn how to play against great athletes, with a lot of talent on the field from every school. And I think the growth is shown, and the growth has happened again. So, without question, we're blessed to have great kids, great parents, great administration, great facilities, all those things that help build, help lead, the program where we're at. We've got 165 kids in the program right now, and that's a tribute to everybody in the program, not me. That's a tribute to Carroll High School and the Carroll community for kids wanting to continue to play this great game.
Sure. And, part of that success is brought on a lot of the rivalries. And of course, another rivalry renewed again on Friday will be against the Snyder Panthers when they come to Carroll and play them. I know you and Kurt Tittman were on the staff together at Snyder for many years. Talk a little bit about that rivalry and really what that's kind of become, and really the rivalries that you and Carroll are trying to create, and the success you're finding in the SAC since joining that league.
Well, there's multiple rivalries within that conference, and our conference is a strong conference. We'll probably talk about playing 9 games this year and moving on to 2 teams out of conference later on. But the rivalry that we have with Snyder, is due to the fact that they're a tremendous football tradition, tremendous football program, and you always want to try and compete and continue to grow, to be at those levels. The same as for Homestead and Bishop Dwenger and Bishop Luers, tremendous football programs. And what we try to do is emulate what great teams are doing and continue to build a culture to where our kids want to compete, want to be better. And the tradition with Snyder, without question, happens a little bit because of the fact that, I coached at Snyder for 17 years and coached alongside all those guys. And it becomes natural, that you want to compete against each other at a high level.
So, hey, let's talk a little bit about, heading into this game with Snyder. They lost some guys on defense. They did, but they seem to be pretty strong in the front 7 again.
They're very strong up front, absolutely. And their linebacker core is
Yes.
one of the best in the area.
Yeah, Rohrbacher,
Yep.
You got Rohrbacher,
very good.
Talamentes, who does a little bit of everything, I think, for them. When you go in a game like this, are you thinking of trying to get your run game going a little bit, or are you thinking we're just going to go with what they give us?
Well, you've got to be balanced. Without question. Whether you buy into the philosophy that you're going to run it to be able to throw it, or throw it to be able to run it. We look at, personnel, we look at scheme, we look at what we do, and that we make decisions based upon what we think we're going to be successful doing, both running and throwing the football. And again, that is based upon our scheme, based upon their alignments, their assignments, their personnel. And so, we've got to be balanced. We've got to be able to run the ball as well, because if not, then they're going to pin their ears back, and they're going to come and they're going to put pressure on the quarterback. And so we've got to be able to throw. We've got to be able to run it. We've got to be balanced. We've got to be great defense, and we've got to play great special teams too.
Right. Well, I know on Friday against Luers, they got, that's probably where most of their teams returning, where they've had some pretty good players in their front 7 there. What was your thought on that game from a run game standpoint? Were they trying to take that away from you mostly? That was, throwing you into situations where you had to find ways to move the football, or was it what was that game
our mindset? Like? Our mindset in that game was we essentially came down to running two run plays continually over and over. One was inside zone, and then the other is cat, which is a tackle pull, where the quarterback's going to read the backside. But those are our 2 main run plays that we're going to continually run. And we look to the front that we're giving, and the quarterback is going to check things at the line of scrimmage based upon the front that he's seeing. So it boils down to those 2 run plays, mix in a couple other things, running, pin and pull to the perimeter, and then we're going to throw the football. We're going to throw it a lot. We're not going to be, shy about the fact that we like to throw, we like to play 4 wide, we like to be in 10 personnel a lot.
Right.
And we want to get the ball vertical down the field.
Well, you got a pretty good core nucleus of wideouts, correct? Yeah. Yep. Who in that group do you really think is a guy that is kind of maybe your go-to guy, or a guy that you rely upon quite a bit on the outside?
Well, I tell you what, they all did a tremendous job on Friday night. Cam Hirschberger, Cooper Rudolph. We get Jaden Hills, a transfer in from Lures, and has contributed an immense amount. Gabe Starks and Hanson Hafner really are those 5 guys that you're seeing on the field all the time, and they all run well, they all catch the ball extremely well. They all have great relationships, and Jimmy spread it around to each of them, an equal amount. So I mean,
yeah, I thought he completed about 60% of his passes Friday night.
Yep, right at 60%. Yep.
Yeah, and I think one thing, when you're completing 60% of your passes, you're right in the very good category. It used to be if you were throwing 50% back in my day, it was, you were an All-American. Nowadays, if you're not throwing 60 to 65% completion percentage, you're not very good. That's the problem. That's the problem
exactly
with
right.
The spread offense has created that, because the idea of it is get the ball in and out of your hands quickly, get the ball in space, and let your kids go play.
Yeah.
When you look at Snyder's defense, particularly of their secondary, what's your thoughts on their secondary this year? I know a couple years ago, that's probably one of their weakest spots, but how do you feel about their secondary now?
I think it's much improved. It really is. They've got some very good players. They Logan, who's a young guy, but he's playing at safety, and he's a tremendous player as well. And they've got some guys that can play. And, it is not a weak defense. It is a defense that is stout up front, that has great linebackers, and has talent in the secondary that can run after the ball. What we have to be is we've got to be efficient. We've got to be able to get rid of the ball on time. We've got to pass protect up front. We've got to recognize, whether they're going to play an underfront or an overfront. And we've got to protect the quarterback. And if we protect the quarterback, we're confident that he's going to make good decisions. Week one for Jimmy was a sophomore first time that he ever started a varsity game. And, that's pretty good if that's your first start, and everything, we hope everything just gets better from here.
Did you come out healthy on Friday night? That was good.
Fortunately we did. Yep.
Well,
Nate
I think
starts cramped up a little bit, but that not due to injury, probably due to hydration as much as anything, and just the heat and everything, and he expends a lot of energy. Nate's a tremendous running back. He's not very big, but he is electrically fast, and he's going to be the guy. And we continue to love what he does. We just got to take care of him and make sure that he is, drinking right and getting hydrated and taking care of his body.
Yeah.
Well, Steely's another.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about the Steely kid, because I think he's another player for you guys that I think is electrifying, because he can turn a game in a moment. He did that last year, decided to open up the stadium with a 95-yard kick return for a touchdown. I don't think you can top that at all, but what does he like to be around as a kid? Because he's like one of those guys that, man, it'd be fun to coach.
He really is. Braden is a tremendous kid. I mean, not only do I get the opportunity to coach him on the field, but I have him in the classroom during the day, in geometry, and love being around him. Love his brother as well. Great family. And he is a gamer. When the lights go on, it is time to go, and he is electric fast. He can blaze, and he is a tremendous special teams player. He is a tremendous linebacker, that we can roll down, and play him in the box at the same time, because he has physicality to him. He was nursing an ankle injury that happened, in camp over the summer. And so he did not play week 1, but he is cleared, and he's going to be healthy, and he's going to play against Snyder. So we're glad to have him back. We're glad to have him, almost at full health. So
go ahead, there, dude. we'll
Yeah,
talk about the defensive side and Snyder's offense. It also gives you a little bit of Pepto-Bismol moments.
Mhm.
yeah. One of the things, Coach, in the offseason, obviously the tragic loss of Owen Shealy, and that's kind of been part of this program, and it will be going forward. That first week and getting to that point and getting your team ready, just talk about the offseason that was and the team, fighting through that adversity, coming together, and really how this season will become one for Owen.
Well, as you know, June and July, as I said, were tremendously difficult months for us. There is no more tragic event than a 17-year-old kid losing his life, and it happened so fast. Diagnosed on Sunday, passed away on Tuesday, and it left us in shock,
Yeah.
in doubt, in question. But we continued, and the kids stayed together and worked together and communicated together, and we will continually remember him, remember his spirit, and you'll see some of that on Friday night, in tribute to him and his family as well. So I mean, without question, very difficult, and there were emotional moments, on Friday night, when it came up,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's going to continue. It will. I mean, it's, the two things that you learn, are, and we all know this, the two things are that life is very frail, and can be taken from you in the heartbeat,
Right.
and then the second thing is that, life doesn't stop either, and it's going to continue to push forward, and you have to embrace things, and you have to work forward, and you have to move forward, and you have to prepare, because you can't quit. Um,
Yeah, and talk about Friday night, Coach. The orange out for Owen, kind of the student body, the entire community at Carroll coming together for the just what is all going on with that on Friday night that people going out to the game can expect with the orange out for Owen.
Orange out. They sold a bunch of T-shirts. I don't know the exact number, but it's in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 2,000 T-shirts, and the profits are going to the Owen Shaley, Foundation, which is going to, give scholarship to a senior football player at Carroll, as we move forward. And Snyder also is contributing, to the to a fund. And I won't state it properly and name it properly, but it's a youth, childhood leukemia fund, through the NFL, I believe, and they're going to donate money to that as well. So I mean, what we hope is just to remember, to embrace, to pay homage to, and that's what the whole year is going to be about. So you'll see different events, throughout the year, to where, whether it be, events such as this, or, senior night things, where we're going to remember, and we're going to pay tribute to him.
Certainly,
No
Coach.
question. Um, Now, you know, looking at Snyder's offense, you talk about your offense and what it brings to the table. Now you've got a Snyder offense that has a quarterback that has the most starts, I think, of any Snyder quarterback in the history of the program.
Going
Luke
into
Hopper.
his senior year, yeah. Going into
Yeah.
his senior year, he's got more starts going into his senior year than any. I mean, I remember when we were there. I mean, there were some dudes, that played a couple years back to back.
Right.
Marcus Heminger played, 2 14-game seasons in a row. But in the long run, after all is said and done, Luke will have, more starts, than anybody in the career. And he's a tremendous athlete. He really is.
Yeah. Yeah, they get that run game going, and the next thing you know, they're play action passing it, throwing over
Right.
the top.
Right.
That's and he does that well. But Langston Lavelle creates a problem as well. I mean, he's a big, strong kid, and their offensive line, they operate like a machine with their power game.
Well, first of all, the offensive line is extremely well coached, and they're going to be one of the best coached and best disciplined offensive lines that you're going to see around the area. Coach Isaacs does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And he's got guys coaching with him that played offensive line with him, and so that lineage is strong. And with that goes the run game. They're running the ball extremely well. They're playing a little bit of 21 personnel. I mean, they're going back old school. Playing with the fullback, and they want to get downhill, and that's because of the strength of the offensive line, the strength of the running backs, and the ability of Luke to be able to play action, to be able to run option from underneath center. It presents a lot of different things. I mean, you face so many teams today that are spread, pass the ball, throw the ball around teams, like ourselves, and you get accustomed to, playing 8 guys back and rushing 3 or 4, and defending the pass. And if you can't defend the run against a team like Snyder, then you're in for a long night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think this is going to be one of those great matchups that we're looking forward to. It's our game of the week. We'll be out there for the 6 p.m. Parkview Sports Medicine pregame show, but I'm looking forward to watching your kids play. I know it's, the adversity aspect of things is, like you said, that's something that you'll carry for the rest of the year with the positivity of moving forward. And but we're looking forward to being a part of this night out there at the new stadium, and really appreciate you coming on tonight, and try to get you back on again. Is that
Absolutely.
all right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
First of all, I love what you guys do for high school athletics. It's tremendous. I mean, the notoriety, the coverage that high school athletes get here in Fort Wayne is tremendous. We love it. I mean, you all know and appreciate the game, and everybody really appreciates everything you do.
Well, thank you. And we appreciate you taking time out, and hopefully one day we'll get one of your boys on here too, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of your players. And I know you're going to be busy this year on Saturday. You got kid at Trine playing ball and a coach at St. Francis. So
that's exactly right.
You're going to have a lot of fun.
manage the minutes, baby. Yep.
Thanks,
Doug
Coach,
Dinan,
for joining us.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on. We'll see you later. See you Friday, Coach.